Hello there. This is Team Zero Two for Marketing 100S. My name is David Castillo. My group members are, introduce
Christian
yourself,
Conti.
Grant.
Hi, I'm Lisbeth Cornejo.
Hello, I'm Christian Conti.
Awesome. Thank you for introducing yourselves. So our CBO was the King's Water Alliance, and this is going to be our presentation about our marketing mix and what we thought would best serve them. So yeah, the sections we'll be coming over today is our table of contents. We have the history of our CBO. We also have the community impact. We have the annual budget. We have the marketing objectives. And finally, we have the volunteer hours. So Christian,
Cool.
can I have you take over, please?
Yes, sir. So to start us off, we're going to do the history of Kings Water Alliance and the marketing mix. You got me on the scroll, David.
Oh, yes.
So Kings Water Alliance is history. Sorry, it blocks off a little bit. Kings Water Alliance is history. So Kings Water Alliance was created in August 2020 after an extensive effort to keep water clean from salts and nitrates in the state of California. Before Kings Water Alliance was created, this clean water initiative, including nitrates, was started by the Central Valley Water Board, which went through several years of legal refinement to get the funds and support it needed to grow. The Kings Water Quality Coalition led the way to implement new salt and nitrate control programs, forming the Kings Water Alliance, which is a nonprofit organization that benefits the Kings Management Zone. Kings Water Alliance began reaching out to residents impacted by nitrate levels, offering a solution with free well tests, free drinking water stations around the area, and bottled water delivered if wells do test for nitrates. Kings Water Alliance spreads awareness about their services through volunteers at food banks, at table events, about 2 to 3 times a week, totaling around 64 events a year, outreaching to hundreds of people weekly. In the last year, they have also physically distributed over 5,500 flyers to targeted residents for their services at these events.
Alrighty.
So, how Kings Water Alliance gains attention? They spread information to consumers through pamphlets handed out at food banks and tabling events in the Central Valley. Volunteers mostly hand out the pamphlets while being accompanied by an employee until the volunteer has proved that they haven't known the information themselves. They are currently only marketing their services through personal face-to-face communication and social media, with their face-to-face marketing being the volunteers and employees showing up to the food banks and tabling events that provide information and answer questions about the organization. On social media, they have a small following. On YouTube, they only have a few educational videos and some videos of presentations regarding their organization and organizational plan. Their Facebook following is relatively small as well, considering the amount of services that they could reach with their services, being less than 100 followers on Facebook. With the small following, they do update it about once a week, and they keep up with the people about the community that come up, the events. Go ahead, next slide. So the first little bit of the marketing mix, the primary service that Kings Water Alliance offers is free well testing for residents within the Kings and Tulare Lake groundwater subbasins region. If the well tests positive for nitrates that are at a level of 10 milligrams per milliliter or higher, Kings Water Alliance will deliver the bottled water to residents for free. Another service Kings Water Alliance offers is free water fill stations in different cities around the Central Valley, the closest one being in Kermit. The largest target market for Kings Water Alliance is defined by their clients' geographic location. Since their mission is to focus on residents within the Kings and Tulare Lake groundwater subbasins region, that's where they go mostly. Although this is their main target market, you could also say that they are targeting occupations in the geographic area as well. The Central Valley is mostly composed of agriculture, so a lot of the residents are farm workers that specialize in agriculture. And with that being said, most of the Central Valley farm working demographic are Hispanic, and most of their language speaking is Spanish. Kings Water Alliance caters to this target market by providing all information about them and their services in Spanish. Although sometimes when we're being sent with volunteers, we did not always have a Spanish speaker to make them feel comfortable, and sometimes they were not able to ask enough questions about the program. So there were 3 fill stations accessible through the Kings Water Alliance. These fill stations are in different cities around the Central Valley, including Dinuba, Hanford, Kerman. You could bring an empty container to a fill station and you could take home safe, accessible, free drinking water back to your home. There are just conditions like containers must be 5 gallons or less. There is no limit on the number of containers you may fill. The Kings River Water Quality Coalition, a coalition of agricultural producers, is providing this free drinking water to domestic well users in an effort to mitigate the groundwater quality concerns. This second service KWA offers lets them reach a wider market by giving people without a well access to clean drinking water 24 hours a day.
Thank you, Christian. And now we have section 2, community impact with Lizbeth.
Yeah, so this is about what impact the Kings Water Alliance had on each community. So most of the impact have been beneficial. They've been reaching out to residents and spreading awareness about their services. They've also been going to tabling events, food banks, and stakeholder meetings 2 to 3 times a week, so 64 times a year. KWA has also distributed about 5,500 flyers to communities at these events. Communities are repeatedly being engaged through educational workshops. They often collaborate with the public water system in the area to ensure of these drinking water standards. And the nitrates have been affecting communities, which is why KWA tends to want to fight and stop the drinking of not safe water. And also compared to other organizations, the Kings Water Alliance has been having an extensive network as well as an emphasis on community engagement. Residents have also been helped and provided with the safe drinking water supplies and have been learning about nitrates and how they affect their health, their food, and their environment. Okay, and so this picture is the Kings Water Alliance posted it on their Instagram, and this post estimates that 2 in 5 wells are impacted with unsafe nitrate levels. That means that the groundwater being pumped is not safe to drink, and their organization is working on providing both short-term and long-term solutions to the problem. Okay, next is the annual budget. So we found that the King Waters Alliance annual budget is 1.2 billion, and it varies from each year. In the past year, it was 1.3, and then in the 2 years ago, it was about 1.1. So the King Water Alliance is also funded by facilities and industries that discharge nitrate, and they have also received in-state financial support. And the representatives range from like local growers and permitted discharges. And we didn't exactly find more of their, I guess, their financial information about like specific details, but they're like sorry, their fundraising expenses have incurred to $6,442, and their program expenses have ranged from 10,000 to 11,000 on monitoring a part of its program service expenses.
Thank you, Lizbeth. Now we're going to go over our marketing objectives. So the one we decided to break down here is the following. The public outreach and engagement strategies objective is to create a level of engagement and awareness with community residents that establishes trust and provides robust participation in the development and implementation of the EAP, also known as the Early Action Plan. So why is this important? So here's some key takeaways we can take from this. First, this objective is aiming to build trust by developing a foundation of trust with community residents by demonstrating transparency and sincerity in all communications and interactions. This marketing objective also is focused towards community involvement. It wants to actively engage residents in the development and implementation of the EAP through community meetings, surveys, and online forums, ensuring their voices are heard and valued in the decision-making process. This objective also is focused on awareness and understanding, increasing awareness among residents about the critical water management issues facing the community and the significance of EAP in addressing these challenges, fostering a deeper understanding of the plan's objective and potential benefits. This objective also is focused on education and empowerment by providing residents with accessible educational resources and workshops to enhance their knowledge and skills in the water conservation practices, pollution prevention, and sustainable resource management, empowering them to play an active role in safeguarding their local environment. And then finally, this objective also is focused on long-term support, fostering a culture of ongoing community engagement and collaboration to maintain momentum and support for the EAP beyond its initial stages, ensuring its success, implementation, and adaptation over the long term. Now, when it comes to how we would achieve these, this is what we can go over. So first off, we want to focus on proper research. We want to make sure we identify key stakeholders, including community leaders, local organizations, residents, and relative government agencies. We also want to conduct proper demographic and analytics to basically analyze the cultural insights and past feedback for tailored outreach. Speaking of tailored outreach, we also want to tailor our message. We want to develop clear, concise, and culturally sensitive messages highlighting EAP importance and community involvement and tailored to diverse demographics. We also want to test the message effectiveness through focus groups or pilot campaigns, refining based on feedback and emphasizing clean water benefits and conservation responsibility. We also want to diversify the outreach methods. We want to utilize in-person outreach, digital platforms, and traditional media to reach community residents. We also want to engage in face-to-face events and use social media, newspapers, forums, and dialogue. We also want to explore innovative channels like community radio, podcasts, and SMS for diverse outreach. We also want to focus on building community relationships. We want to organize workshops, focus groups, and informational sessions at accessible locations like community centers, schools, and religious institutions. We also want to provide interactive discussions, Q&As, sessions, and hands-on activities on water conservation and the EPA. We also want to offer incentives to encourage active participation. Another thing we should focus on is partnerships and collabs. We want to establish partnerships with local organizations, businesses, community leaders, and influencers to amplify outreach efforts and increase credibility. We also want to collaborate with academic institutions, research organizations, and industry experts to access resources, expertise, and funding opportunities for outreach initiatives. We also want to focus on educational campaigns. We want to develop and distribute educational materials such as brochures, flyers, posters, and via community centers, schools, and libraries and local businesses in order to get the word out. We also want to launch target awareness campaigns using storytelling, visuals, and testimonials to engage specific neighborhoods or demographic groups, making water quality and conservation accessible and engaging. We also want to focus on feedback and improvement. We want to implement various channels like online surveys, community meetings, and helplines for resident input. We also want to regulate, review, and analyze feedback, demonstrating responsiveness by addressing concerns and adjusting strategies accordingly. We also want to focus on accountability. We want to share updates on the EPA progress, milestones, and future plans, maintaining that transparency. We also want to provide opportunities for residents involvement in tracking EIP implementation and outcomes, while establishing mechanisms like regular reporting and public forums for accountability and addressing any concerns. We also want to build support. We want to provide training for volunteers and staff and community ambassadors involved in outreach, equipping them with the effective communication skills for promoting EPA goals. We also want to offer ongoing support and resources to empower community advocates. We want to foster continuous learning through those workshops and seminars and peer knowledge sharing. And finally, here is like an example of all that information I just talked about, how it would be organized for like a monthly rollout. So right now we have local educator locations. Month 1, we would launch target awareness campaigns in school fairs, libraries, community centers. Month 2, we would create interactive conversations as well as activities to do. And month 3, we would access funding opportunities and raise awareness to people of all ages. That's for like in person and kind of focus on educational. If we want to go more of the social media route, let's take a look at what we do on Facebook. We would find local networks to endorse the EPA and encourage participation. We also want to create online surveys and prepare to be more active digitally. Month 2, we will review and analyze the feedback that we got from those surveys, and we also want to use that to tailor our promotional videos and eventually release those. And then in month 3, we want to ensure communities are being heard and engaged with residents that are common in the area. Another way that we could expand getting the word out is through local news outlets. So we could search online for reporters and television stations for service projects. We also want to create a pitch and being able to build relationship in month 2. And we also want to deliver news to the growing internet or to the direct to consumer channels. Christian, take it away.
Yeah. So the tasks, you can go ahead to the next one. So we did 15 hours each of community service, or not, I mean, volunteer service with this Kings Water Alliance. During those 15 hours, we mostly just went to food banks, farmers markets, handed out flyers, while we communicated with the residents of the areas and talked to them about the benefits of the nonprofit organization and tried to raise awareness and kind of get more people to know about it. And that's basically what it was.
I also created brand video as well. So hopefully it'll show that.
Of course.
And thank you. That's been our marketing presentation. We hope you learned a lot about not only what we like to do for the KWA, but also what the KWA stands for. And hopefully you would like to get involved too. Enjoy the rest of your day.